It's my nerd world, and welcome to it, a Depeche Mode podcast, as we say goodbye to Andrew Fletcher. It is my nerd world, a Depeche Mode show, and I am your host, Jon Justice. I didn't expect that this is what I would be talking about on this latest episode of a Depeche Mode podcast. I actually was planning on doing a new episode. I know they've been sporadic as of late, but I had a little bit of news that I had found out beyond what we're going to be talking about on the show this week to share. But yesterday, on Thursday, May 26th, a rather busy day in terms of pop culture and the things that I enjoy in life beyond Depeche Mode. Star Wars Celebration taking place in Anaheim, a lot of Star Wars news coming out, a big NASCAR weekend this weekend, just a lot of things going on, and Top Gun coming out in the theaters. I was really looking forward to seeing that, and got home from work yesterday and planning out the rest of my day with all of these things beyond work. And I hopped on to Twitter, which I do throughout the day, and had seen a notification that the official Depeche Mode account had tweeted. And I was like, "Oh, hey, I wonder what DM is tweeting about." And that is when I read the press release, which goes as follows. "We are shocked and filled with overwhelming sadness at the untimely passing of our dear friend and family member, bandmate, Andy Fletcher. Fletch had a true heart of gold and was always there when you needed support, a lively conversation, a good laugh, or a cold pint. Our hearts are with his family, and we ask that you keep them in your thoughts and respect their privacy in this difficult time." I echo what the press release said. I was shocked, just absolutely shocked. Born on my birthday. I share a birthday with Fletch on July 8th. He was born in 1961. I was born in 1972. I always appreciated that commonality that I had with Fletch, and just heartbroken, absolutely heartbroken. I think for you listening, probably feel the same way that I do. We were all anticipating new music, and I still believe that we can anticipate that. I'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the show. But also, still many years with all of the band members, current band members and former band members. 60 years old is, almost 61 is just way, way too early. I'm dealing with my own issues. I think I mentioned on the last show. I'm not going to make this about me by any stretch. I have to go through an open heart surgery coming up here on June 15th. I know that I'm going to get through it. Not worried about it. But obviously, taking stock in life and seeing these types of things, it hits home. It's a big procedure, and to have somebody who I feel so close to go so soon, it's difficult. I don't know what else to say up front other than when I found out, I think I was as heartbroken as you are hearing this news. So on the show, we're going to dedicate the show obviously to Fletch. Share with you what I've found out over the course of the past 24 hours. A really fantastic piece that I'll read in its entirety from Rolling Stone, and then give my thoughts on what I, expect moving forward. For what it's worth. As always, you're welcome to email, and I've heard from a lot of you. Actually got a call yesterday after the news had broke and had some time to sit with it for a while and, shed some tears, as I'm sure you did as well. phone rang from a state that I was unfamiliar with. So I was like, well, this is interesting. And it was the friend of the show, Jon Justice. If you listen to the previous episodes, there is a Jon Justice out there other than me, Jon Justice, John John Justice, and called to make sure that I'd heard the news and to talk about it a little bit. So it was a nice phone call to receive, to be honest. I hadn't talked to this individual since I saw them in Chicago on the Spirit tour. And, I think it speaks to the fandom and how we feel about one another, whether you meet somebody new who's a Depeche Mode fan or whether you know somebody who's been a Depeche Mode fan for a long, long time. I got a couple of email exchanges, too, that I'll share with a little bit later on, both about this and apart from this. Richard Blade, we'll start here. Richard Blade, who... you're probably familiar with, but for those that are not familiar with Richard Blade, former DJ, radio personality on KROQ, K-Rock in Los Angeles, one of Depeche Mode's biggest stations and one of Depeche Mode's biggest markets, where I grew up with them, living in L.A. and Orange County in Southern California. He revealed a text exchange that he had with Martin yesterday. And Martin Gore told Richard Blade, "So unexpected and tragic, I've been a zombie all day." The reports coming out are that he died from natural causes. I'm sure at some point in time we'll get an official confirmation. Certainly doesn't sound like it's anything that the band knew about, so it could have been a heart attack or something of this nature. So I'm sure we'll find that out fairly soon. Alan Wilder also said publicly, a real bolt from the blue to hear former Depeche Mode colleague Andy Fletcher yesterday. My thoughts and condolences are with his wife, Granny, and all of the family at this distressing time. R.I.P. Fletch, Alan Wilder. Again, born in 1961, and Andrew Fletcher was coming up on his 61st birthday. Rolling Stone put out a really fantastic piece that I wanted to share with you before I give my further thoughts, and I may sprinkle them in throughout this. Farewell to Andy Fletcher, a toast to Depeche Mode's Quiet One. And it reads as follows: Goodbye, Andy Fletcher, a beloved new wave uncle to countless Depeche Mode fans over the years. Fletch, who died at age 60 of natural causes, was a founding member of the pioneering synth-pop Sages and a crucial element in their chemistry. Every sullen goth teen who ever wore black in the 80s has a soft spot for their man in their heart for this man, which is why fans all over the world are blasting Black Celebration in his honor right now. Fletch represented their original punk rock spirit of inspired amateurism. As he told the NME right at the beginning in 1981, you don't have to be a great musician to play and get a message out. We certainly didn't know anything about music. In Depeche Mode, Fletch always stood between two mega flamboyant personalities. On the one hand, Martin Gore, the brooding songwriter, pouting "Understand Me" to the camera in a leather jacket. On the other hand, Dave Gahan, the flamboyant, extroverted, extremely topless lead singer, never shy about preening in white jeans. Fletch was in the middle, the quiet one, always slightly bemused at finding himself caught up in such a long-running pop melodrama. As Depeche Mode kept getting kinkier and gothier, Fletch kept giving the vibe of an affable accountant who wandered into the industrial sex club by mistake. He always seemed to have the same haircut, same glasses, same dry smirk. The closest he came to others' theatrical decadence was lip-syncing to the screams of master and servant in the video. Fletch always had a unique and enigmatic role in this most unique and enigmatic group. To be specific, fans weren't quite sure what he actually did. He was famously hands-off musically. Unlike the other two, he didn't write or sing. Nobody seemed to know if his keyboard was even plugged in. That was once a part of his mystique. He appeared on stage, but his real job was looking after their business affairs. As Gahan once mused, maybe we should set a fax machine up for him on stage. Yet, he was also an eloquent spokesman for the whole Depeche Mode concept. The beauty of using electronics is that music can now be made in your bedroom, he told Rolling Stone in 1993. You don't need to get four people together in some warehouse to practice. For him, that set artists free for new kinds of creative liberation. Obviously, it's sad to see the demise of the traditional rock group, but there's always going to be a place for it in cabaret, he said. The group started off within the London suburb of Basildon, with synth wizard Vince Clarke writing the songs. They scored brilliant hits, Dreaming of Me, New Life Just Can't Get Enough, and the classic 81 debut, Speak and Spell. When Clarke quit and moved on to Yaz, everybody assumed Depeche Mode was finished, but they carried on in an extremely weird four-man configuration. Martin Gore wrote the songs, Dave Gahan swiveled his hips, Alan Wilder played most of the music, and Fletch looked after the office. Wilder left in 1995, but the core trio carried on, as cheerfully dysfunctional as ever. The Mode became elder statesmen, touring the world. Traveling gets harder as we get older, Fletch told me in 2009, but we do travel in a certain amount of luxury. They always kept making great music in the studio, and their last album, 2017 Spirit, is a truly underrated banger, writes Rolling Stone. The gorgeous 2005 Playing the Angel is a top 5 Depeche Mode album with one of their loveliest singles in Precious. And they remained monstrously awesome as a live act. We're not the Cure, Fletcher said. We don't play for 4 hours. I think Dave would die of a heart attack if we kept running around the stage dancing for that long. Fletch was famous for his dry, oft caustic wit. When Depeche Mode was inducted into the Hall of Fame via long-distance video, Dave Gahan gave a speech thanking the group's artistic heroes like Bowie, Iggy, the Stooges, the Clash. Fletcher chimed in, the Eagles. In the classic D.A. Pennebaker documentary 101, fans followed the group on an American tour. Fletch spends the whole movie looking slightly surprised, yet amused by all the fan hysteria around him, not to mention the melodrama in the group itself. That's how fans will remember him. R.I.P. Fletch. Yeah, it's a weird thing, and it's a difficult thing. And it certainly punctuated for me, as a Depeche Mode fan since 85, just how much this band has meant to me and to so many people and to you. I knew this already, but to lose an individual in this group and these people who have been such a big part of your life, it is heartbreaking, and much more so than, for example, with the other sort of big fandom in my life being Star Wars and the passing of Carrie Fisher. I was sad, but Depeche Mode and music in general, for me personally, hits on a much different level, right? The music speaks to you. It tells the story of your life. I've been listening to nothing but Depeche Mode since I got the word of his passing yesterday, and listening to these songs that I know front to back, every note. Just they all seem more punctuated now that Fletch is no longer with us. So, indeed, rest in peace, Fletch. You meant a lot to millions of people, and you will always mean a lot to millions of people. I can't imagine what the band members must be feeling right now in this time, especially as we had been talking about and all speculating about what the future of the band is going to bring. So with that, I'll transition over to a little bit of commentary and speculation on my part of where the band goes from here. And I thought about it as I was sitting down to do the show and just kind of putting my notes together, whether or not I wanted to even approach that. But at the same time, without ever having heard the words, my feeling is that Fletch would want the band to continue. I think we're all under the assumption that they have at least one more album in them. And as a matter of fact, I have a piece of information that I'll share with you here that potentially we could be getting, or we were planning on getting, some music a lot sooner than we expected. Certainly from a musical standpoint, as the Rolling Stone article laid out, and that which is no secret, we know that the musical input of Fletch was limited to, I don't want to say a supporting role, obviously. He was there, but in terms of writing songs and crafting the music, I mean, that was really left up to the producer, Martin, and Dave. I mean, as the article said, and we know from that famous clip from 101, Alan's a good musician, Martin's the songwriter, Dave's the singer, and I bum around. I've been blessed to have met Fletch twice, just in passing at meet and greets, and glad that I did. So, as for the future of Depeche Mode, what does this all mean? I know I've seen commentary of people saying this is the end of the band, and I don't personally think that it is. My expectation is if they were writing music and planning on putting out music, that they will move forward to complete that project, whatever it will end up being. And most likely, again, pure speculation, as a remembrance and in tribute to Fletch. As a matter of fact, not for whatever reason, for very specific reasons, I immediately thought, well, you've got your album title names, Tribute, and just fits right in there. And again, that's just me working through my own emotions. And I hope you listening understand that this is all, I feel like it's coming across that way, but it's all coming from a very genuine, authentic place. And me talking about the band's future and future music, I hope you don't find it disrespectful, because I'm not trying to be. I really do genuinely believe that Fletch would want the band to continue for whatever plans they had moving forward. So take this with a grain of salt. I pulled this prior to the news of Fletch's passing from the Halo forum at depeche-mode.com. And somebody had posted that there was a post on the Swiss and German Depeche Mode forum. A German music journalist, Markus Kafka, he's a big Depeche Mode fan. He wrote a book about Depeche in 2020. He's on a tour now, reading live from his book, and he ended a reading just a week ago with the words, and these were translated. We will not need to wait until 2023 until we hear something from the band. We will hear something before next year. There is light at the end of the tunnel, all is well. He's not allowed to tell the source directly, but he called the source a good source. And then the poster said, the poster to the comment said, I'm excited and more optimistic again for next year. Now, what that means, it was translated. It's kind of open to interpretation there. We will hear something from the band next year. Does that mean new music, or we'll just hear from the band and what their plans are? It's possible that they've been working behind the scenes on new music. They've done that before, where Dave and Martin have combined their efforts, sending stuff back and forth, music and writing lyrics, and then putting the two together in the vocals. So we'll see if anything changes. I imagine at the moment things are going to be placed on hold a bit while the band appropriately and justifiably goes through a mourning period. I also imagine for Fletch and his family that it would be important for the band to carry on for a while in terms of support. I would imagine that they are probably well off, being a member of the band, but at the same time, money doesn't last forever either. So we'll see how that shakes out. I would love to hear from you, and more specifically, if you want to share your thoughts, I'm happy to, on an upcoming episode, share them here on the show. TalkShowNerd@gmail.com. You can also use the Jon Justice at gmail.com. That's my other one, JON, the Jon Justice at gmail.com. But if you wanted to email in, share your thoughts, memories that you have, I'd be more than welcome to share them on an upcoming episode. Speaking of which, I do have a little bit of listener feedback to get to this week. I'm going to refrain from any of the sound effects and stuff that I typically do on a show. It just doesn't feel right to do that. I almost didn't feel right playing the intro to the episode this week. First off, I want to say thank you to Ed Rome, who had emailed in making sure that I'd heard the news and, sharing his thoughts. I appreciate that, Ed. And there's a lot of people I'm missing because I make no secret in my life, shocking, of what a big Depeche Mode fan I am. I think anybody that knows me for any length of time pretty quickly finds out how much Depeche Mode means to me. Like it is, and you're probably going, yeah, me too. I think it's kind of a hallmark of fans, right? We don't hide it. And it is, a big part of our lives. So I had a lot of people, sort of reaching out from various social networking platforms. So if I don't mention you, my apologies if you listen to the show, but thank you for doing so. Kedrick Hubert from the World of Music podcast emailed, "Sorry to hear about Fletch. He's always been my favorite. My condolences." Prior to this, to the news, Martin did email me, listener of the show. Martin emailed me to, again, say, hey, heard the news too, I'm sad about it. Prior to that, Martin had emailed before we got the news yesterday, and he said this: "A longtime listener to the podcast, been meaning to write for a while, finally got the kick I needed when you announced your upcoming surgery. We'll be thinking about you and hope it all goes well. I'm sure it will." Thank you, Martin. I really do appreciate that. Do have thoughts on the band and the list you discussed. This would be on the most recent episode, the list from Louder Sounder, where I can't remember the individual, Steven something or other. I don't have it in front of me. I cleared my notes out from last week, but he did the Depeche Mode album's worst to best. Really enjoyed that piece. And again, it's all subjective, but I thought that he was very objective in his subjectivity. Martin goes on to say, again, thoughts on the band and the list that you discussed, but probably isn't the time. Main thing is for you to come out on the other side of this safe and well. Take care, Martin. And again, Martin had wrote this prior to the news and has written me since then. P.S. Dave was spot on in his assessment of that alt-right guy, smiley face. Yeah, I tend to agree. So, TalkShowNerd at gmail.com. That's the email address. You want to find out more about the podcast, the other shows that I do, and of course the sci-fi books that I write. If you're into sci-fi, there's a lot of Depeche Mode references in them. I'm not going to go into the whole spiel this week. It doesn't feel right, but you can go on by mynerdworld.net. So I hope, as I wrap these shows up, always, I hope wherever you are, you're happy, you're healthy, and you're safe. Hugged a loved one. This life is precious. I didn't mean that as a pun, but it is. And I know my life has been enriched greatly because of Depeche Mode, and a lot of that has to do with Andrew Fletcher. He is going to be missed, and I think we're all sad to see him go. So thanks for listening to the episode this week. I don't know when I'll have another one on. More than likely before I have my surgery coming up on June 15th. But again, I love to hear from you, and I hope you're doing as I am doing, and just celebrating his life through the music that he was such a huge part in creating. So look forward to hearing from you, and I'll talk to you real soon. Bye.
My Nerd World.